Welcome back, everybody, to the Racing Writers Podcast. Happy post-Thanksgiving. The holiday season is in full swing, and I just have to say that let me just put this out here right now. I love racing as much as everybody else. We all love racing. We love race cars. We love burnouts and victory and confetti and smelling fuel and drama and championships. We love it. I love it as much as you guys. But we are a little over a week into the off season, and I keep seeing everybody post about how, there's no racing. We're not at the racetrack. Guys, we need just slow it down for me. We'll get there. Let's enjoy the holidays. Let's have a break. Let's get some sleeps in and enjoy some downtime. I know that there's a lot of us in this business who really appreciate that, and as we do that, we can reflect on what a year it was. So anyway, I just felt like I needed to get that out there. I was decorating for Christmas today, and I was just enjoying my time at home. I've been dealing with a little bit of an infection that's kind of knocking me on my butt, and had a nice Thanksgiving with my boyfriend and his parents, and I just have enjoyed laying on the couch and doing nothing. And I log on Twitter, and you guys are driving me crazy with all of this we miss racing stuff, and I miss it too. But listen, I don't want to rant about that. We've got a great episode this week. We've got Ty Dillon. Ty and I talked at Homestead Miami Speedway before the season finale. Ty, of course, has just wrapped up his first full season in the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series with Germain Racing. Ironically, this podcast is going to come out right after Germain has announced that Matt Borland will be Ty's crew chief for next year. Booty Barker has moved on. The team is also changing its engineer and some technical director. They're really looking to gear up and change some things for next year. They really want to be competitive and get back to running up front. You'll hear Ty talk about how they felt like they were doing a lot of growing and a lot of good things in the beginning of the year, and they kind of fell off and just got away from the things that they needed to be doing the second half of the year. You'll hear him talk a lot about his frustrations and things of that nature. So a fun episode this week. A little bit of an abbreviated episode. Like I mentioned, I spent some time with Ty during a busy weekend at Homestead Miami Speedway, but we covered a lot of ground, as we always do. That's the goal. Try and pick everybody's brains for as much as I can. So Ty and I, of course, discussed, moving away from Richard Childress Racing and what it's been like being in the Cup Series. I think, one of the things that myself, and I'm sure you guys have all heard the last couple months, is that it really seems like, and you'll hear me mention this in the podcast, it really seems like guys like Ty and Eric Jones and Daniel Suarez talk a lot about what a big step coming into the Cup Series has been from racing in the Camping World Truck or Xfinity Series. Ty will mention some things of what he's kind of learned, and not only is it a different and grueling schedule, but it really mentally is different, and he's learned a lot about that this year and a lot about himself. So you'll hear us discuss that. Fun episode. I really enjoyed talking to Ty. He's always been really good with the media. I feel like he's a fun guy, very engaging. So we talk about that. We, of course, talk about, at the time, what was the impending birth of his daughter, Oakley. She is now here. She was born right after Homestead. She waited for Ty to get home, as wife Haley posted on Twitter. It was very cute. So Ty is now a father, but you'll hear him talk about how excited he is to embark on that this off season. So again, just covered a lot of ground. I hope to keep doing as many podcasts as I can during this off season. I haven't really figured out what I'm going to do, whether it's going to be every week. Probably not. Probably go to bi-weekly. I don't know if I have enough guests. I'm going to pull some interviews out. For instance, earlier this year when I talked to Joey Logano for about a half hour about making his 300 start. I don't know if you guys all read the story that I did for Racer, where Joey opened up about his career, his struggles, the writing being on the wall at Joe Gibbs Racing, knowing he was going to probably have to look for a job. That was one of the most fun stories I've written. So I think I'm going to actually pull that audio out and post that as a podcast, because that was actually one of the interviews that I did that made me say, I wish I did that for a podcast. So I'm going to try to bring you guys as much as I can during this off season, because again, I'm going to enjoy this off season. It's quite nice to sit at home and be stationary for a little bit. But, we've got a lot going on, of course. There's going to be plenty of news between now and Daytona. I hope you guys are all following me on Twitter or following racer.com/NASCAR. Follow Racer Mag on Twitter. There is plenty that we still need to sort through before Speed Weeks comes. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of more news to come. We still have questions to be answered about contracts and sponsorship and who's going to drive where, how many cars are going to be at certain teams. This will probably be one of the busiest off seasons in recent memory. And, once again, we're just past Thanksgiving, so it sounds kind of slow right now, but it's really going to pick up here. So let's see if there's anything else I need from you guys. Ratings, reviews, that's been great. I appreciate that. I appreciate the social media feedback. I keep saying it, but this has been a lot of fun. So I think that's it. Let's get to this week's show on the Racing Writers Podcast with Ty Dillon. All right, thank you, Ty Dillon, here at Homestead Miami Speedway. And we've got one race to go, of course, on Sunday. But how does it feel to get through your first Cup season?
Feels good. I feel like my rookie seasons in truck and Xfinity never really felt like rookie seasons for me. We were battling for wins and battling for championships in both my rookie seasons in those series. So I never felt like I had to go through much of a learning curve. It was always every week we unloaded really fast and had opportunities, which is obviously what you want. But when you get to the Cup Series, it seems like every step before this has been a step. When you come to the Cup Series, it's about 5 steps, it seems. But it's been a really good year. I've learned a lot, and I've gained a lot of confidence in myself through a lot of the races this year. Knowing that I can get the job done, but there's been a lot to learn, and I think that's been coming down at the end of the year. You look back at it, and it's kind of refreshing. That I feel like I've learned a lot, and it's got me motivated going into next year. I know that I can apply a lot of things once I get it downloaded this off season. So much information, especially running both series, that you kind of get to a 3/4 of the way through the season mark, and you always hear about people kind of hitting the rookie wall. For me, that was somewhat true. I felt like there was points where there was so much going on, you kind of get a mental block of being able to progress. It wasn't that I stopped preparing the way I did at the beginning of the season or not. It's just you're not used to that long, grueling schedule. But come down to the end of it, I feel like I'm already starting to kind of process the year and getting better from it the last couple of races. So that's exciting for me. I think I've got a lot of positivity going into next year.
You mentioned a few things there that I want to hit on. The jump to the Cup Series, I feel like this second half of the season with guys like Eric Jones and Daniel Suarez, guys who, like you, have made the jump this year, who ran Xfinity, you all are saying the same thing. You come to Cup and it's just a totally different world. Yeah. What is the biggest thing that has struck you from being in one garage to the other?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things. I think all the drivers, it's obviously been filtered through. It's the best drivers in the world and in NASCAR. So every single time you hit the racetrack, you have to be perfect. You have to be prepared, or else you can be 30th, 34th, even in a race that you might finish in the top 10, but in one practice session you might have been 30th because those guys are just so good. And it can be frustrating, the time that you have to be so precise and perfect as a driver throughout such a long schedule as a rookie that you're not used to. I think that's one area you realize, man, this is a huge step. Then also just the power of the cars, the lack of downforce and the rules changes that have come about. It's quite a big step from the Xfinity Series, which I really enjoy. It puts a lot more of the race into the driver's hands, being able to be a smooth driver, somebody who can save your tires at a lot of these racetracks. Definitely pays off in the Cup Series more than it does in the Trucks and Xfinity Series. That's something that I really enjoy about the Cup Series, but is a level of difficulty harder. There's a lot of factors that go into it, and if you don't prepare, you're definitely not going to be running up front.
Is that something you've learned about yourself? You mentioned about yourself this year, you've learned some things going through this process. What have you discovered about maybe a driver you are, or something along those lines?
Yeah, definitely. I've learned a lot because I've had some frustrations kind of the second half of the year. The first half we were really strong and really battling contending for the Rookie of the Year and had some good runs. In the second half of the year we kind of hit a little bit of a proverbial wall, I guess. We just weren't really progressing. And that got frustrating to me when I would see that we weren't in the top 25 or something in a practice session or a qualifying session, which unfortunately has happened continuously. But to me, I kind of took it on my shoulders a lot to, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? And then it kind of compounded into, all right, what are we doing wrong? Trying to chase our teammates and then just throwing in their setups when we don't feel like we're fast enough, instead of just starting the weekend with what we feel is the best and building to what I want and what I feel, and stop chasing our teammates and chasing their driving styles. Once I stopped doing that, it's really been the last couple weeks that we've kind of focused in on our own program. We came off a good finish in Phoenix, probably should have finished top 10, finished 11th. And that was the first time I kind of, since the second half of the season, that we just focused on doing what we believed in, making changes that I felt were right, and stop chasing our teammates. And I know that I've learned a lot just in that. I feel like I'm already kind of starting to come out of that little rookie wall with a couple races left here, and that feels good, and it gives me a lot of positive momentum going into the off season.
So you mentioned teammates. Jermaine, of course, has a technical alliance with RCR, which, of course, you are deeply tied to. Just kind of dig into how that works. I mean, because, of course, you have family ties at RCR, but you're trying to build your identity and yourself over at Jermaine. So how do the two teams work together? Yeah, I mean,
it's a very open book between both teams. Obviously, ECR builds the motors, same batch of motors that the in-house teams have, same motors that JTG has, as well as Levine family. We all are together. Pretty much everybody knows what's under everyone's car, and it's all open book from every aspect of what's underneath the car, the setup, the motors, driving style, everything's open. So, but yet we are at Jermaine Racing, we're our own team that we're trying to develop and grow together as well. I think this has been probably the best year that Jermaine Racing's had, which really feels good, but we also had higher expectations for that even yet. So, we're still steady building. And I think the goal is I think that Furniture Row has set a good example of what it's like to be a single car team that has used the alliances to build themselves to where they need to be, and then now have taken the step to where I'm sure their alliance partners are really relying on them. And that's kind of the progression we want to take. But it's a balance in using everything that the main team that you're feeding off of, which would be RCR, taking that information and then growing your own program as well. We have our own body shop. We build, I'd say 95% of our cars this year have been built at Jermaine.
Nice.
I think there's only been 2 cars that have been built at RCR. Which is a very prideful thing, and there's a lot of processes that we go through to make sure that the cars and bodies are scanned and built very similar to what is happening at RCR, but it is our team building them. So that's something that you like to see growth into. And for me, it's been different, just learning the ins and outs of a new team, and all I've ever known is the way that RCR runs, and probably know that more than anybody over there, other than my grandfather who started the company. But it's been helpful for me to be a part of another team and to learn and to grow, and not only as a driver, but as far as my future too.
You mentioned being on your own, being your own person, and learning how to grow. I wanted to ask about that because family, of course, never goes away. But has it been almost nice, or a little bit of more freedom to be able to go and kind of be away from that team in a way, and work on your own, work with a new team, maybe have a little bit more room to grow and experience all these difficulties without pop kind of right over your shoulder? I'm sure he still cares, of course, definitely. But it has to be a little different.
Yeah, it was somewhat of a relief, and it's definitely different, kind of growing in my own and having a team that believes in me, that I know that everybody at RCR believes in me, but I grew up at RCR. I was the little kid that was picking and playing with my brother, playing hide and go seek through the cars, and I've known everybody in the building my whole life. So they're going to love me no matter what. I feel like they're my family. But coming to a whole new team of people that I don't know that are showing me support as a grown-up and as a driver, that gives me a lot of confidence. The more support they show me and the job that I'm doing, it's definitely relieving. You don't feel the kind of the pressure that having your family and kind of growing up in a company puts on you, which is a little bit different. It's hard to explain if you're not dealing with that every day. Just knowing that the belief is real and that people are caring for you at a different company is cool. So it makes you feel that outside of the world that you grew up in, there's people that believe in you, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So
Right.
that's been really great for me. And then also just trying to take the things that I've learned from growing up in RCR and helping a team like Jermaine grow has been helpful too.
We talked in Atlanta way back in February about being in this Rookie of the Year class. Of course, it was going to be very tough competition. You knew you were a little bit of the underdog. You might miss out on that title, but in terms of overall expectations, you had mentioned a few minutes ago you had higher expectations, this team did, than maybe what you've done this year. What were those expectations? Was it a certain place in points, of course top 10 finishes? Did you have specific goals?
Yeah, I think we would have liked to have been challenging for the Rookie of the Year further into the season than where we're at right now. I think to about the halfway point we were only a couple points out, if not leading or second for a little while. And we felt the momentum that we could really do it. But you know, those guys have had outstanding rookie seasons. If you look at it, really, they've had amazing years, and I think this is probably one of the least talked about rookie classes that's had one of the best years. And within our own means, I think Eric Jones has done a great job. He's been very fast. Daniel Suarez, for the amount of experience he has in NASCAR, has done an amazing job with a great team in Joe Gibbs Racing. And then for us, our team has progressed a lot. We've led more laps than our Alliance members, and we've ran up front and really had 2 opportunities this year to possibly get in victory lane. Daytona for sure. Dover we led with inside 30 laps to go all the way to 15 or so, and we're going to have a great run there. We showed a lot of promise, and it's been a really awesome rookie year, and I feel like this class is a very underrated class from not only the depth of it, but for the finishes and the job that's been well done between us all.
Dover, how badly do you want that race back?
I wanted it bad. I wanted it back bad, but you know, the more I kind of thought about it, and it was really a tough situation that we were kind of put in. I wish it would have just gone green. We would have gotten a top 5 finish. That would have been some amazing momentum, but just knowing what we were able to accomplish, we came down pit road behind Jimmy Johnson. Our pit crew beat him off pit road. I beat Jimmy Johnson on a restart, led for 25 laps in front of him, and he never passed me. It was Kyle Larson on fresh tires came back and passed us. They had better tires than us, and you know, just the confidence in that and what it did for us there. Unfortunately, you know, I still feel pretty strongly that NASCAR didn't clean the track up well enough, and it was. Somebody was going to crash. Yes, somebody was going to crash. I was the first one to go through the speedy dry, and that was very disappointing. But you know what? You can't really dwell on the negatives of it because we had such a strong run, and that was good for us and good for us as a company and me as a driver as well.
Was that a defining race for this team? And with everything that you just mentioned, not only with how well you ran, but you also mentioned what you guys did on pit road, who you were able to race around. Was that the defining race for you, or is there another one that you look at this year that kind of points to what this team is capable of? Yeah,
I'd say that was probably the most defining. A couple weeks before that, at Richmond, was kind of our first really strong run that we had. We drove up inside the top 8. We were running really strong, and that was a lot of people checked up getting on pit road with about 50 to go, and we got crashed getting on pit road, and our car was killed. But we run inside the top 10, and that was kind of the first time we were like, okay, we were actually running 8th or so, and Joey Logano was running 9th, and we felt our car was better than him, and he ended up winning the race. Right. So that was kind of like, okay, we know we get the speed in the car. If we can get inside the top 10, you never know what's going to happen at the end of these races. We can win a race here. So then we go to Dover. The cards fell right. We were back inside the top 10 and had a great pit stop. Caution fell in the right spot, and there we were. We had a chance again. So it was kind of a compounding momentum that really made us realize that we could do it. I think that's kind of what made the second half of the year a little more frustrating, is because we were just really growing really fast and building momentum to where we felt like we were going to have a shot to run the top 10 consistently and have a shot at leading more laps, and you never know. And then it seemed like in the second to 3/4 of the way through the year, we just kind of stopped growing. And while other teams progressed and got faster and faster, we kind of stayed 15th to 20th, and then we kind of went a little further back from that. And now I feel like we're starting to build our momentum again coming down the last couple of races. And I think a lot of that was just you get that frustration because you're building so fast, and then you kind of have a couple bad finishes, and then you, as a rookie of the season so long, I'm running the Xfinity Series too, you kind of stop thinking about what you did to build the momentum originally. And now we've changed some things up and are kind of creating that again, that momentum.
You posted a very powerful tweet, I felt like, right before Phoenix, before you went out and finished 11th. But you talked about, could have finished top 10. But you had said to the effect of, disappointment's making me stronger. We're going to flip the script. We're going to be stronger than ever, and so on and so forth. Was it just how this second half has gone that's kind of brought that tweet on? That because you had qualified, I think, 29th for Phoenix. Was that just kind of more of what brought that on? Yeah,
the second half of the season, our Fridays have just been awful. Even this weekend here, we qualified 32nd, which is embarrassing and frustrating as a driver. I know I feel like I could mess up a lap and qualify 32nd. And so qualifying's just been brutal, and every weekend that's really weighed on me, and I let it affect me to Sunday in the past. And I had just gotten to the point, we had made some announcements about our roster changes next year, and probably one of the better things that happened is me and Booty sat down and talked about everything. And he was just like, hey man, just him and I said to him, I said, one thing was we were kind of chasing our teammates, and that was kind of more of a factual thing. I said, let's just go back for these last couple of races and do what we believe in, and we'll just finish out the year strong. And he was very honest to me about things that he felt I could do different, and that really helped me. Even though that Friday was frustrating in Phoenix, I kind of just let it go, though. I kind of said that it's not going to bother me anymore. It's okay to be mad about it, but as soon as that qualifying lap is over, that session is over, you need to start focusing on the race. And we did that, and we didn't get out of our means throughout practice, whether we weren't fast. And I don't think either practice session we didn't have the top of the board kind of speed. I don't even know if we were higher up than 25th, but I just focused more on, instead of focusing on being in the top 10 in lap time, one lap time, I was just more focused on getting the car driving the way I know I can drive the car hard and race hard, because I've always been a guy who in the race has gotten better. Sorry, I'm battling cold, but in the race has gotten better. So we just got our car handling good, and we drove right up through the field. So, and I think I said on the radio afterwards that I felt like we had learned a lot throughout that process, and I feel like we're heading down the same direction here. I feel really good about our car. So, it's been frustrating at times, but I kind of feel like we're starting to break out of that frustrating stop holder. I feel that way as a driver. I feel like I've learned a lot, and I've learned a lot about myself in the past couple weeks too. So it's exciting, and it hasn't been what we want it to be, but it's definitely had its ups and downs.
A few more things for you. Change, of course, is coming, but what has it been like working with Booty in your first season? The few times that I've talked to him, he's been very complimentary of being able to work with you and how you've worked with this team.
I think, Booty is, first of all, he's one of the greatest guys I've ever met. He puts a lot of trust in his folks that work for him. He's probably one of the most inspiring people I've ever worked for. And he's just an honest guy, and he's a hard-working guy. I've enjoyed every single race that I've ran with him, even through the frustrating times. I know he's going to continue to go on and do great things, and I'll always remember my rookie season with him and who he created me to be. Unfortunately, we're going separate ways at the end of this year, but it wasn't for lack of appreciation for what he's done for me. As a crew chief, it was just kind of the move that was needed to be made at Germain Racing to try to keep progressing. But I feel like his honesty to me about what he needed from me as a race car driver, especially in this second half of the season, and the way that he's treated me going through all this stuff here recently, my level of respect for that guy is through the roof, and I know he's going to continue to do great things.
So change is coming. What is your outlook going into next year? Of course, you have to get through Sunday. You want to finish well. But with everything that Germain is looking to do going into next year, you mentioned wanting to be better. What is your immediate outlook for 2018?
It's just progression. Like I continue to say, the first half of the season, we felt like we were progressing really fast, and we even had meetings about, hey, we're outrunning our teammates in a lot of these races. We need to start, maybe start going down our own path and see if we can't take that next step. I'd like to come out of the gate next year and be strong, kind of the way that we ran at Phoenix, and build off that. I'd like to see our cars have a little bit more speed, and I know that going to the Camaro ZL1 body next year is going to be really big for Chevrolet. I think that's going to help as a group get us a little bit closer to the pack, and I think we take that as an opportunity to grow together. And like I said, I feel like I'm really starting to break out of kind of that rookie mold, even though I've ran a lot of races in this series sporadically, but those races I haven't learned as much as what I have this year by working with one team and one crew chief. I think I ran 10 or 15 races before this rookie season, and I think every single race was with a different team or a different crew chief and a different group of folks. So I didn't get the experience of running a full season like I have this year, and now I kind of know what to expect.
Yep.
I know how to mentally prepare for a full season, and so I'm really looking forward to next season. I'm looking forward to this off season, kind of let everything download and process. I think the biggest thing is I have confidence going forward that I can get the job done.
And let's end with this on a high note going
Yes.
into the off season. Fatherhood is right
Yes.
around the corner. Oakley Ray, I believe
Yep.
you and Haley had posted about.
Mhm.
She's coming soon.
Yeah, she's coming really soon. Hopefully we'll make it through this weekend. I've had my phone glued to me to make sure she hasn't gone into labor yet. But yeah, our little girl's close, and I can't wait for that too. And you know, it's
Are you ever really prepared for fatherhood?
definitely not. I don't think so. But you know, and I can't wait for the challenges that brings, and you know, just being able to be able to come home after a race and to see our child just excites me so much. And if she's anything like her mother, I'm the luckiest man there is. So can't wait to meet her, and can't wait to start that chapter of my life. And I know things are only going to get better from here.
Well, thank you, Ty. I appreciate it again. You letting me come over, and best of luck on Sunday.
you.
And with the impending arrival of the little
Yeah,
one.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.